Hello, and we're back again, and well, this is kind of stemming off from the last video, so shout out to everybody that put their input into the why comparing Palworld to Pokemon won't help Game Freak video that we just dropped, and a lot of people had some of the same sentiments of what they wanted in a Pokemon game. And it all boils down to they didn't want a Pokemon game. Many people say the formula is stale. Many people say I want to be able to battle with my Pokemon. I want to be able to use the Pokemon, control the Pokemon like in Palworld, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what the Pokemon Mainland Games are. And I think that's the point that everyone is missing. So what it boils down to is people want to see the franchise evolve into something that it isn't. Because they said that it's been the same game for years. They want to see something implemented that'll change it and that it's stale and things like that. But to say that that's been the same game for over 20 years, it might be false, because while the mainline Pokemon games have kept the same RPG turn-based formula, collect your Pokemon, get your badges, and things like that, they have implemented changes. But also, there are spin-off games that venture into other territories and genres of games that people don't talk about often because they want the game that they want. We all have a vision of what our dream Pokemon game would look like. And I guess that's what this last game has kind of brought out to them. And no, not the guns, not the gameplay that's not even Pokemon, but things that people want. But today I want to talk about why Game Freak won't make that dream game that we want, and how they have implemented some things that they haven't kept. But also let's take a look into why these games don't do what we want them to do, or why some things that we feel should be there are missing. So when it comes to people saying that Pokemon hasn't done anything new for the past 20 years and that the formula is stale, well, you might be right as far as the formula being stale, because that's what people want. People play the mainline Pokemon games because it is that turn-based collecting adventure, and it sells. The sales say it every time. The profits increase and the numbers and copies are sold increase every year. And if we really didn't like it, why are we still buying it? But that's just the mainline games. There have been times where the games change the formula, and sometimes people don't agree with it. One thing that everybody looks at is Pokemon Arceus and how it was a breath of fresh air. And I agree, but that was hit or miss for a lot of people. A lot of people didn't like the aspects of it focusing solely on battling without the gym aspects, without the collecting aspects. It was mostly focused on catching Pokemon. No trainer battles really, just a couple of them. And a lot of people didn't like that, but it was a step in the right direction because we got to see us actually dodging Pokemon in the wilderness, or actually throwing the Pokeball and catching the Pokemon. They also enhanced the fighting style with different type of styles and different ways to do the turn balance system, which is dope. And that helped build some of the things for Scarlet and Violet. But one thing that people don't understand is, why didn't Scarlet and Violet do that? Well, you got to remember that both of these games were being made at the same time. And from what a lot of people believe is that Scarlet and Violet was made just in case people didn't like Arceus. So while it did have the open world format that started kind of with Sword and Shield, it didn't have everything that Arceus had, or Arceus, however you say it. And people expecting that from Scarlet and Violet, it's kind of unfair, because those games came out the same year, and we still have new games coming in the future. So I don't think that that formula is done. And people are vocal that they want that. Let's hope they make another game like Arceus, or keep that spin-off series going, because again, while the mainline series kind of stays the same, Arceus was something new and they can build off of that. But let's talk about the mainline series again. When we say nothing changes, I think things do change. The problem is they don't stay. When you look into every iteration of Pokemon, it always shows a gimmick or something like that. Now, Gold and Silver, we went back to the other town, which I'm gonna be the first person to tell you that even though we went to back to Kanto, it was pretty dry. It was pretty boring, because everything that made Kanto great in Gen 1, they took out of in Gen 2. But we can talk about that another time. You go to Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby and Sapphire added weather, other contests, Pokemon contests and things like that. Things that are cool, but when you get to the next game, they're gone. Now, Gen 4 did have Pokemon contests and they expanded on those, but again, when you introduce a cool thing in the Pokemon world, the problem that Game Freak has, they tend to take it away from you when it could be something that you can build on to keep on progressing the formula. And that's a problem that I agree with people that say, hey, we had this, why is it gone? One thing that people love is mega battles and mega transformations, which it was very dope when it came out. But I think in folks that play competitive and folks that play games like that, they saw the imbalance of it. And I think that's why it doesn't exist anymore. Me personally, I did like it, but let's be honest, Pokemon does have things outside of the video game. It's like just the casual gamer, and competitive battling did turn into something that's very serious in the Pokemon community. And I think that Mega Evolutions kind of messed that up. But would I love to see Mega Evolutions again? Yes, and I understand why, but I kind of understand why they're not there. Z moves was kind of funny anyway, so who really, like, it was cool. It was cool in anime. It was very anime, but we don't need that. Let's go back to Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. They introduced the secret bases, and a lot of people said that this is what something that Palworld did that they would love to see in Pokemon. And you know what? I agree. Not that I want to see what Palworld did with building and making the Pokemon work, but I do miss the aspect of having a secret base, which they expanded on the underground. And again, that was something dope that they end up taking it away. So if they could bring things like that back, secret bases, and enhance those, another thing that I agree with people in the comments, people that I've been talking to build on the Pokemon formula to keep it from being stale. But like I said earlier, they give us things and they take them away. But sometimes when they take things away that you said, I'm tired of this old formula, people don't like it. Let's talk about Sun and Moon. I don't think Sun and Moon were bad games at all, but they took away the gym battles and added the Kahuna and the Island Trials and all of that stuff, and people didn't like that. And again, when things change in the mainline game, people are very vocal, so it's almost kind of ironic that we asked them to change the formula, but when they change it, oh no, not like that, but we don't like that. But you like it when it goes back to what it was. And again, that's the problem with Pokemon games, is they introduce things and people might not like them, and it's like they're kind of afraid to stick with it or do it again. And again, through the generations, like I can honestly say Pokemon has changed. It's not the same game we've been playing, but it's minimal change, and they take things away so it look like it's the same game. Because while whatever Gen Scarlet and Violet is, the performance is it ain't it. The performance makes that game horrible, but to say that Scarlet and Violet is like every Pokemon game before it is wild, because we don't have a game that tries to be open world. We don't have a Pokemon game that gives us 3 different stories to go tackle on. We don't have a Pokemon game that gives us things outside of just 8 badges. We don't have a Pokemon game that lets you drop in with your friends and actually play and catch your Pokemon together, or have hordes and things like that. So it's evolved, but it's a slow evolution. With a company like Game Freak, the main problem is Game Freak. They've said plenty of times, and I think it was Masuda who did not want to transition to 3D gaming, and you can see why, because I don't know if they're good at it. I'm not a developer, so I'm not gonna say what they can and cannot do. It's not my job to say that. But we see in the performance, we see in the timetables that the Pokemon company gives them to make games, a lot of things that we ask for would probably be hard to do in that time frame. And people say, well, Nintendo, it's not Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't own the Pokemon franchise. They have a percentage of it, but that's Game Freak, that's Creatures, and that's the Pokemon company. And when the game lines up with your merchandise, your TV shows, your anime, they spit those games out. And that's the major problem that we have with Pokemon games. And again, I'm not saying anybody's feelings about Pokemon is wrong, because y'all have points. A lot of things you're saying are right, but are we looking at the full thing? It's things like voice acting. You know why voice acting would be hard? Think about trying to pay all of those voice actors and then getting those same voice actors for 9 to 10 different other languages and getting that out in time for the game to release. That's hard. Localization has already been a problem with the Pokemon games. Would it be nice? Cool, but y'all gonna read it anyway. I'm gonna be honest, I'm the person now that watch TV and watch anime and watch video games with the subtitles on, because I'm getting old. Let's talk about the animations. Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing the Pokemon do a move, but they don't actually do the move. It's a funny animation, and I would love for that to change. But then I sit here and think about it. How many Pokemon are there? And again, time frame. That's over 1,000 Pokemon that you have to do individual animations for every single move that they have, and every move combination they could possibly have against every Pokemon they could possibly fight. We see why it's basic, because this is a company that can't handle basic stuff. You want them to handle something that extreme? Again, I'm not a game developer, maybe they can do it. But we can't leave Pokemon out, because you know what happened when Sword and Shield came out, the Dexit thing. Everybody was mad because their favorite Pokemon wasn't there. So we can't, it's a lot of solutions that we're gonna be mad regardless of what they do or not. But at the end of the day, their stale gameplay is still gameplay that people love. And they do need to work on incorporating features and keeping them there, or bringing features to make it a little bit better while keeping the core gameplay mechanics. It does not need to go away from turn-based, because that's what it is. That's what we play it for. I know people want things like voice acting, they want better animations, and of course we want better performance in the game to look better. And for everybody comparing that game to, like, comparing Palworld to Pokemon, Palworld is on the PC using Unreal Engine assets compared to Nintendo Switch to Game Freak, who can barely make a game. So I don't know what we're expecting, but again, a solution for that, I would love for Nintendo to actually help develop, or get another company to help develop these games, like Monolith Soft or something like that. But maybe that'll never happen because y'all keep buying it, we keep buying it, I keep buying it. But for me, it's not a problem because I enjoy those games. But I don't know, that's how I feel about that. I know other people talk about like an MMO or open world game. That would be a whole nother problem in itself, because we always talk about the issues that they already can't handle. You think about putting a game with multiple worlds, trying to balance servers, trying to balance the Pokemon, trying to make the game not be stale, trying to figure out if somebody starts, like, it's so many problems that would have. And y'all would for sure be mad if you had to read all that, because for sure ain't gonna be no voice acting in that. So I don't know. What do y'all think? What do you want to see in Pokemon? What is feasible to you? And what do they need to do better? What do you not like about the Pokemon mainline games? Because they do things different. When you look at games like Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Cafe, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Tekken, or whatever it is, they do different things in different spin-offs. Detective Pikachu. If you want certain things, you gotta go to those spin-offs. But the mainline games tend not to change much. But they need to do some type of change, right? And I feel everybody will agree that Pokemon needs to be serious. But I'm gonna tell you one more time, Palworld's not gonna be what make that game be serious, because it's not the same type of game. And those elements in those games, a lot of those don't fit with Pokemon. But that's all for me. Let me know what else y'all want me to talk about in the comment section, or what you want me to elaborate on. Let me know your opinion. Everybody is free to entitled to their opinion, and I'm cool coming and back and just talking to you. I appreciate y'all for showing love to the video, and let me know how you feel. But that's all for me. Y'all have a good one, and bye.